Trust is the deadliest illusion. It lures you with safety, whispers of loyalty, promises of love. Yet, it is the knife placed in your own back. Every empire that crumbled, every king betrayed, every life destroyed began with one fatal act, believing someone else would never strike. Machiavelli warned that trust is not protection, it is exposure, and those who depend on it are already doomed. In this video, you'll see how trust is built, twisted, and weaponized against you. Subscribe now, because once you understand these secrets, you'll never look at trust the same way again. Trust is the fastest path to your downfall. The human mind is addicted to safety. It hungers for the illusion that someone can be trusted, that loyalty is real, that promises mean protection. Yet this craving is the very poison that destroys us. Trust does not shield you. It exposes you. Every time you believe in it, you are gambling with your survival. History bleeds with proof. Kings strangled by their advisors, generals betrayed by their closest allies, lovers destroyed not by enemies, but by the hands they once held at night. The pattern is merciless. Trust feels like shelter, but it is the doorway to your downfall. You feel it too, don't you? The warmth of believing someone understands you. The temporary relief of laying down your guard. But that warmth is a lie. Every time you open yourself, you carve a doorway into your own downfall. You believe you are gaining closeness, when in reality, you are surrendering leverage. And one day, that closeness will not protect you. It will cut you. Machiavelli warned. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Trust becomes a currency others spend when it benefits them, not when it protects you. Think of the secrets you've revealed, the weaknesses you've confessed, the moments when you let yourself be seen. Those fragments of yourself now belong to someone else. They hold the knife, and you handed it to them willingly. You told yourself it was loyalty. You told yourself it was intimacy. But intimacy is only the mask worn by betrayal before it strikes. And when it does, you will recognize too late that the true danger never came from your enemies. It came from those who swore they were on your side. So here is the only survival law. Never give trust. Only perform it. Let others believe they have your confidence. Smile, share, even confess. But let every confession be carefully chosen. Every secret, nothing more than bait. Trust should be the illusion you project, not the reality you live by. Guard the core of your intentions as if it were a fortress, because the moment you hand that fortress key to someone else, your downfall has already begun. Predators never look like predators. They do not approach with knives drawn or faces twisted with threat. They come dressed in charm, wrapped in patience, hidden in gestures that seem harmless. The smile is their disguise, the soft tone their weapon, and the pattern is always the same. The prey is never forced into submission. The prey walks willingly into the trap, guided by the illusion of safety, guided by the lie of trust. You've seen this smile before, the one that makes you feel understood, the one that tells you it's finally safe to exhale. That smile is not kindness. It is calculation. It was designed to lower your guard, to make you believe you're the one in control. And so you lean closer. You open yourself. You surrender without noticing. The leash is already tightening, yet you keep telling yourself it feels like shelter. And inside, you crave it, don't you? The rare sense that someone listens, the rare feeling of being seen. You convince yourself there is no danger in this intimacy. But this is the moment betrayal begins. It never starts with hatred. It starts with closeness. It starts with a careful study of your patterns, your fears, your ambitions. As Machiavelli observed, men are so simple and so much creatures of circumstance that the deceiver will always find someone ready to be deceived. The smile you welcomed wasn't a gift. It was bait, and the moment you trusted it, you gave away your defenses. Every gesture hides a motive. Every favor carries a cost. Think of the ones who praise you, who rush to help you, who flatter you when you least expect it. These are not random acts. These are threads in a web, binding you tighter while you keep mistaking it for support. And while you talk, while you confess, while you rely, they collect. They gather ammunition from your own words. They do not need to strike now. They only need to wait until the moment you cannot survive without them. And when that day comes, the smile remains, but the mask falls. So understand this: appearances are never harmless. Assume every smile has teeth behind it. Assume every kindness conceals a demand. Let them think they are drawing close. Let them believe they have your trust. But in reality, you keep them circling, never touching the core of who you are. You listen, you nod, you perform trust like an actor on a stage. But inside, you give nothing, because trust is not an exchange of loyalty. It is an exchange of power. And the one who controls that exchange will never be prey. They will always be predators. Secrets are ammunition. Every society, from kingdoms to families, rests on the illusion of exchange. People trade goods, favors, and promises. But the most dangerous trade is not material. It is personal. Secrets, once spoken, are no longer possessions. They transform into liabilities, carried by others, twisted in silence, and released when it benefits them most. A single whispered confession can destabilize an empire faster than armies, faster than wealth, faster than force itself. You already feel the pull of this trap, that aching desire to unburden yourself, the hunger to be known, to let someone inside the locked chambers of your mind. You call it trust. You disguise it as closeness. But the moment you yield, you arm another. The intimacy you believe in is nothing more than a transaction of weapons. And once a blade leaves your hand, it will never be yours again. Think about the truths you've surrendered, the failure you admitted, the weakness you exposed. At the time, it felt like relief. But that relief was a mirage. Words do not disappear. They linger like coiled serpents in the dark. They lie dormant until the moment betrayal becomes more profitable than silence. Machiavelli warned, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Your secrets are not sacred. They are dormant ammunition, waiting for the day someone decides the profit of betrayal outweighs the comfort of loyalty. This is not only the downfall of rulers or generals, it is the destruction of lovers whose partners carried their confessions like knives. It is the ruin of allies who became rivals, burying their enemies with the very truths once offered in trust. The world does not care who revealed the weakness. It remembers only who used it. What felt like intimacy becomes evidence. What once was closeness becomes a sentence against you. So you must become disciplined in silence. Guard your inner world with the vigilance of a fortress under siege. Never hand over the keys. Never hand over the arsenal. If you must reveal, let the confession itself be the deception. Offer bait disguised as weakness. Allow them to believe they hold power over you, when in reality, they hold nothing of value. Let them believe the bullet is real, when in truth, the chamber is empty. Your survival depends on this art. The ability to speak without surrender, to reveal without exposure, to confess without consequence. Because in a world where trust is the fastest path to downfall, every secret you withhold becomes your shield, and every secret you share becomes the weapon that one day will destroy you. Loyalty's disguise is used. Throughout history, loyalty has been treated as the rarest of treasures. Kings demanded it from their subjects, generals from their soldiers, lovers from one another. Yet beneath the grand rituals and declarations, loyalty reveals itself to be fragile. A mask worn only as long as it serves the one wearing it. It bends, it shifts, and it breaks with the same ease as wind changing its course. To mistake it for permanence is to walk willingly into ruin. You want to believe in loyalty, that someone will stand beside you no matter the storm, no matter the price. You crave the certainty of knowing you are not alone in the battlefield of life. But this craving is the very weakness that blinds you. People swear allegiance with words, but their loyalty belongs to themselves first. They align with you when it benefits them. They stay close when proximity offers safety, advantage, or gain. And the moment the cost outweighs the benefit, the mask of loyalty slips, revealing nothing but self-interest. You've seen it before. The friend who promised to defend you, only to vanish when the conflict became inconvenient. The lover who swore eternal devotion, but whose eyes wandered the moment opportunity whispered. The ally who raised their hand in loyalty, but lowered it in betrayal when a better path appeared. This is not rare. This is not exception. This is the rule. And still, you cling to the illusion because the alternative feels unbearable. Yet illusions, no matter how comforting, are knives waiting for the moment to pierce you. Machiavelli observed with clinical clarity. Men are ungrateful, fickle, liars, and deceivers. They shun danger and are greedy for gain. He understood that loyalty is not built on virtue, but on necessity. Soldiers fight while victory is possible. Subjects obey while fear outweighs rebellion. Allies remain faithful only until betrayal offers a greater profit. The instant loyalty requires sacrifice. Betrayal begins its march. To trust in loyalty is not trust at all. It is a denial of the shifting nature of human desire. And yet, the true danger is not their betrayal. It is your blindness. You confuse convenience for devotion. You mistake alignment for allegiance. You hear the words, "I am loyal," and forget that words are cheap, that they cost nothing to speak and even less to abandon. You build castles on foundations of air, and when they collapse, you mourn the loss as if it were unexpected, but it was inevitable. Loyalty is never given freely. It is always borrowed, rented, or bought. So the wise do not demand loyalty. They engineer it. They never place faith in words, but in chains of need, ambition, or fear. If someone's survival depends on you, betrayal becomes impossible. If someone's ambition is tied to your rise, their loyalty grows in proportion to their own desire. If someone fears the cost of disloyalty, then loyalty becomes the only safe path left. This is not trust. This is control. And control is the only true guarantee. Your mistake has always been thinking loyalty must be earned through kindness, honor, or generosity. But kindness breeds expectation. Honor invites exploitation, and generosity builds dependence that resents its own debt. The only loyalty that endures is loyalty bound by consequence. Make betrayal costly. Make faithlessness dangerous. Create conditions where their self-interest is your protection and their ambition is your armor. Because in the end, loyalty is not a bond. It is a disguise. Behind every oath and every promise is a person loyal only to themselves. And if you do not understand this, their disguise will be the weapon that destroys you. But if you master it, if you strip the illusion and replace it with leverage, their disguise becomes your shield. Where trust is fragile, leverage is enduring, and only leverage survives. Silence is an armor. Throughout history, those who revealed too much were undone, not by their enemy's strength, but by their own words. Every confession, every boast, every whispered thought became a thread. Others pulled to unravel them. The human need to speak, to connect, to be understood, has always been a fatal weakness. Silence, by contrast, is not emptiness. It is strategy. It is armor that denies others access, leaving them blind, reaching, and powerless. Silence feels unnatural to you because you equate it with isolation. You fear being misunderstood, so you explain. You fear being forgotten, so you talk. But every word you release is a seed planted in the minds of others, and you will never control how it grows. The less you say, the fewer weapons exist to be turned against you. The one who speaks freely carves their own weakness into stone, while the silent one remains unreadable, untouchable. You have felt this imbalance before. When you speak too openly, you notice the subtle shift. Their eyes linger, their expressions change, their silence grows heavier. They are storing what you've given them, collecting ammunition for a future moment. Machiavelli observed that men are less careful about offending one who makes himself loved than one who makes himself feared. The same is true with words. What you share in warmth is later twisted in cold calculation. Fear arises not from closeness, but from the impenetrable silence that denies others leverage. Consider how easily people betray themselves in casual conversation. Gossip, oversharing, nervous chatter. All of it exposes cracks. The weak reveal their fears, their failures, their insecurities. Without realizing, they are arming the very people who will exploit them. The strong, on the other hand, do not rush to fill silence. They let others speak first. Let others reveal. Let others hang themselves with their own words. Silence is the mirror that forces people to expose themselves while keeping you concealed. And so the tactic is simple but ruthless. Speak less than necessary. Reveal only what serves your image, never what endangers your reality. A controlled silence does not make you invisible. It makes you formidable. Your mystery unsettles those around you because people cannot attack what they cannot define. The restraint that feels unnatural to you is precisely what makes others uneasy. In a world where trust is the fastest path to downfall, silence is not absence. It is power. It is the weapon that shields you, the fortress that keeps you untouchable. Turn trust into a weapon. Throughout history, those who wielded trust did not do so out of virtue, but calculation. People offer trust instinctively, unaware of the power it confers. When trust is given freely, it is a liability. When trust is commanded or inspired, it becomes a tool. Every confession, every reliance, every expectation becomes a lever in the hands of the one who knows how to hold it. Trust once understood as currency, reshapes the balance of power silently, invisibly, irrevocably. You feel the natural urge to rely on others, to believe that someone will not harm you, that someone will guard your secrets. This is the trap most fall into, the gap between naivety and survival. But there is another path, the path of turning trust into a weapon. Imagine the advantage of being the one in control, the person others confide in, the person they rely on, the person whose apparent reliability makes them vulnerable. Machiavelli warned, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. You do not break promises blindly, but you understand that trust, when wielded strategically, bends others' choices, manipulates their desires, and creates dependency they do not recognize. Feel the tension of it. The moment someone places their trust in you, they unknowingly surrender their vulnerabilities, their secrets, their weaknesses, their fears. All become visible to you, mapped out in the subtle cues they cannot hide. Their confidence in your loyalty makes them predictable. Their faith in your judgment makes them malleable. You never need to trust them in return. You only need to appear trustworthy, to cultivate the illusion of safety. This is the art. Trust is never a gift. It is a mirror. The more they lean on it, the more you see of them, the more you control. Now consider the behavior of spies, leaders, and manipulators. They do not resist trust. They invite it. They do not reject dependency. They shape it. The secret is in the cultivation of belief. A quiet nod, a reassuring gesture, a pattern of apparent honesty that encourages reliance. People will hand over information without realizing the cost. They will make choices under your influence. They will align their interests with your convenience. You hold the leash, invisible yet unbreakable, because no one suspects a hand held in friendship. And so the tactic is simple but profound. Project reliability, project loyalty, project understanding. Make them lean on you as a source of stability. Let them believe you are trustworthy before you ever decide what to extract. Let them reveal their blind spots because they feel safe. Let them confide because they mistake your observation for empathy. Every layer of trust you inspire becomes a tool to maneuver, a path to influence, a channel through which you shape their reality without them realizing. Because in a world where giving trust is dangerous, commanding it is power. Those who master this art do not stumble into betrayal. They orchestrate it. They do not fear deception. They guide it. And those who place their trust in you, unknowingly, hand you their fate. The cold truth of survival. Throughout history, those who fall are rarely defeated by strength alone. They fall because they misjudged the nature of the world, because they assumed loyalty is permanent, because they trusted where trust should never exist. Human society preaches trust as a virtue, an anchor, a light in darkness. But the patterns of betrayal, deception, and exploitation are far older and far more reliable. Trust is never safety. It is exposure, and exposure invites destruction. You have been taught to believe in trust, to rely on promises, to confide in those who swear allegiance. That belief feels righteous, comforting, almost necessary. Yet every time you surrender to it, you hand over leverage, power, and your vulnerabilities. You feel warmth in their words. You see honesty in their eyes. And you mistake appearance for reality. But appearances are fragile. Words are cheap. Intentions are hidden. And loyalty is conditional. Those who claim devotion today will wield your trust as a weapon tomorrow. You have known the sting of betrayal. Perhaps it came softly, like a whisper, or violently, like a knife. The memory lingers not because of the act itself, but because you trusted when you should have guarded. Machiavelli warned that men are ungrateful, fickle, liars, and deceivers. They shun danger and are greedy for gain. This is not pessimism. It is observation. Those who fall victim to their own belief in loyalty, to their own need for trust, are predictable. They hand over the keys to their fortress without ever realizing it. Now, feel the weight of it. Every relationship carries risk. Every bond has the potential to become a weapon pointed at you. The betrayed were never weak. They were too willing to accept illusion as truth. The destroyed were not careless. They were too ready to open their hearts and minds. Without strategy, survival favors the cautious, the calculating, the silent. It favors the observer who watches movements, reads motives, and measures intentions before exposing themselves. Trust is a luxury that only fools can afford. Your task is to reconstruct how you view relationships entirely. Replace trust with control. Replace faith with leverage. Replace expectation with strategy. Every connection should be evaluated not for warmth or sincerity, but for what it allows you to observe, extract, and influence. Build alliances as if they are temporary, because they are. Treat declarations of loyalty as evidence to be tested, not absolutes to be believed. Guard your inner world as if betrayal is inevitable, because in reality, it always is. And when you interact, let trust appear as a mask. Allow others to believe they have earned it, to lean on you, to confide, to rely. But in this, do not surrender your power. Trust is not a gift. It is a weapon. It is the leverage you hold over those who think themselves secure. You guide their choices, predict their moves, and shape outcomes from the shadows while they remain blind to the truth. What they mistake for fidelity is their own hand on the blade you control, because the ultimate lesson is brutal but liberating. Survival is never about believing in others. It is about understanding them, anticipating them, and remaining untouchable. The world tells you to trust. You do not. You observe. You calculate. You arm yourself with silence, leverage, and patience. And in this, you hold a power they cannot see, cannot touch, and cannot counter. Trust is not a refuge. It is the terrain on which you dominate, the weapon with which you survive, and the truth that will never betray you if you wield it correctly.